While everyone chases the same overpriced Ferraris and rust-bucket Porsches at headline auctions, a handful of 80s machines sit forgotten in garages and classified ads. These are cars with engineering that was a decade ahead of their time. Cars built with materials and tolerances that modern manufacturers abandoned because they cost too much. Right now, these vehicles are priced like used appliances. In 5 years, the collectors who ignored them will be writing checks they cannot afford. You are about to learn which ones matter, why their mechanical DNA makes them irreplaceable, and how to find them before the market corrects itself. The first vehicle that deserves serious attention is the 1984 to 1987 Buick Grand National and its more powerful sibling, the GNX. Most people know the Grand National as a fast black car from the Reagan era. What most people do not understand is the engineering that made it fast, and why that engineering matters today. The heart of this machine is the 3.8-liter turbocharged V6. This was not some cobbled-together hot rod motor. General Motors developed this engine with technology borrowed from their diesel programs. The block is cast iron with main bearing caps that are cross-bolted for strength. The turbocharger setup uses a Garrett unit with an air-to-air intercooler. In 1987, the standard Grand National made 245 horsepower. That does not sound impressive until you consider context. In 1987, the Corvette made 240 horsepower from a 5.7-liter V8. The Grand National matched it with 2 fewer cylinders and nearly 2 liters less displacement. The GNX version pushed past 275 horsepower from the factory, though dyno tests consistently showed actual output closer to 300. The reason this matters for long-term ownership is the bulletproof nature of the internals. The forged steel crankshaft can handle over 600 horsepower with basic supporting modifications. The factory heads flow well enough for serious power gains. The sequential fuel injection system was advanced for its era and remains easy to tune with modern aftermarket support. Parts availability is another hidden advantage. Because General Motors used this basic engine architecture across multiple platforms for years, rebuilding components are common and affordable. You can source pistons, bearings, gaskets, and sensors without hunting through specialty catalogs. The market has started to notice these cars. Clean examples have moved from the low teens to the mid-30s over the past decade. But the GNX remains the trophy. Fewer than 550 were built. They were essentially hand-assembled by McLaren Performance Technologies, with upgraded turbochargers, suspension components, and bodywork. A GNX in good condition now commands prices approaching 6 figures. The window for affordable Grand Nationals is closing, but it has not shut completely. The cars that need work still appear for reasonable money. The mechanical simplicity means a competent home mechanic can address most issues. The rear-wheel drive layout, limited slip differential, and relatively light weight create a driving experience that feels analog in the best way. This is a car that embarrassed supercars at the drag strip when new. It will only become more valuable as collectors realize the engineering beneath the blacked-out exterior. Another machine that the market has badly undervalued is the BMW E28 M5 from 1985 to 1988. The M5 was the first high-performance sedan BMW Motorsport ever built. They took the E28 5 Series body and installed a version of the engine from the Mohn supercar. This was not a marketing exercise. This was genuine racing technology adapted for daily driving. The Mediate engine in the E28 M5 is 3.5-liter inline-six with individual throttle bodies. Each cylinder has its own throttle plate, controlled by a mechanical linkage. The response is immediate in a way that modern drive-by-wire systems cannot replicate. The engine revs freely to its redline, with a mechanical purity that modern turbocharged units simply cannot match. Output was 256 horsepower in North American specification. European models made 282 horsepower. These numbers seem modest today. The power delivery transforms the experience. There is no turbo lag, no artificial throttle mapping, no electronic interference between your foot and the engine. The chassis is equally impressive. The E28 platform was designed before BMW started adding weight for crash structures and electronic systems. The M5 weighs around 32 pounds. The suspension uses a fully independent setup, with geometry tuned by the same engineers who prepared cars. For touring car racing, the steering has the correct weight and feedback that only hydraulic racks, with proper valving, can provide. Build quality from this era of BMW remains legendary. The interior materials are genuine leather, real wood, and metal switchgear. The paint quality and panel gaps reflect a manufacturing standard that even BMW has not maintained. Production numbers tell the story of future collectibility. BMW built fewer than 22 E28 M5 units for the entire world. North America received only 1,239 cars. Compare this to the tens of thousands of later M5 models, and you understand the rarity. Prices have risen steadily, but have not reached the peaks that similar vintage performance sedans command. A well-sorted E28 M5 can still be found for under $60,000. Pristine, low-mileage examples push past 100,000. But consider that contemporary Porsche 911s and Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC AMG models trade hands for 2 or 3 times these figures despite being less rare. The maintenance requirements are manageable for anyone willing to learn. The engine uses technology that an experienced home mechanic can understand and service. Valve adjustments, timing chain inspections, and fuel injection tuning follow logical procedures. The community of E28 enthusiasts has documented every aspect of ownership. This is a car that proves engineering peaked before electronics took over. It rewards patient ownership with an experience that no modern sports sedan can deliver. Few cars from the 1980s demonstrate overlooked engineering potential. Better than the Porsche 944 Turbo, built from 1986 to 1991. The standard 944 already represented a departure from typical Porsche thinking. The engine sits at the front, connected to a rear-mounted transaxle. This layout creates nearly perfect 50-50 weight distribution. The handling balance is neutral in a way that the iconic 911 never achieved. The turbo version elevated everything. Porsche used a 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder engine with a water-cooled KKK turbocharger. The engineering team paid meticulous attention to turbo response. They used a smaller turbine than raw power numbers might suggest, prioritizing instant throttle response over peak output. Factory power was 217 horsepower in early models, rising to 247 horsepower in the later 944 Turbo S. But the real story is how this power arrives. The torque curve is flat and accessible. The car pulls strongly from low revs, without the dramatic on-off switch that defined lesser turbocharged engines of the era. The chassis engineering deserves equal respect. 944 uses a sophisticated suspension design with upper and lower control arms at each corner. The geometry controls body roll, without resorting to punishing spring rates. The steering is hydraulically assisted, but retains direct communication with the road surface. You feel grip levels changing through your palms. Porsche built these cars to last. The engine uses a forged crankshaft with balanced shafts to cancel vibration. The cylinder walls are treated with Nicastle coating. The transmission is a robust Porsche unit shared with the 924 and derived from racing gearboxes. The failure points are known and preventable. The water pump sits inside the engine and requires timing belt replacement at the same interval. The turbocharger oil return lines can clog if previous owners used improper lubricants. The dashboard is prone to cracking. Under sun exposure. These are all documented issues with documented solutions. What makes the 944 Turbo exceptional is the gap between its capability and its price. A well-maintained example can be found for $20,000 to $30,000. Compare this to the air-cooled 911 market, where similar condition cars command 5 times the money. The 944 Turbo will match or exceed the cornering ability of those 911s, while offering more interior space, better reliability, and easier maintenance. The collector market is beginning to recognize what driving enthusiasts have known for decades. The 944 Turbo represents the engineering peak of water-cooled Porsche sports cars before computer systems and electronic nannies dulled the experience. If you are finding value in this mechanical breakdown, consider subscribing to join a community of people who understand that real automotive knowledge matters. More than auction hype, we focus on engineering truths that help you make smarter decisions. The Toyota M-Artwo from 1985 to 1989 is another car. That time has treated poorly despite engineering that remains exceptional. Toyota designed the M-Artwo as an affordable mid-engine sports car. The configuration places the engine behind the seats but ahead of the rear axle. This is the same layout used by Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Lotus for their most serious performance machines. Toyota offered it for the price of a compact sedan. The engine is a 1.6-liter four-cylinder twin-cam unit, producing 112 horsepower in North American trim. Japanese market versions with higher compression made 130 horsepower. The supercharged variant available in Japan pushed output to 145 horsepower. These numbers seem small until you consider the vehicle weight. The M-Artwo tips the scales at approximately 24 pounds. The power-to-weight ratio compares favorably to contemporary Porsche 944 and Mazda RX-7 models. The driving experience reveals Toyota's commitment to proper engineering. The mid-engine layout provides immediate turn-in response. Steering is unassisted, which means direct feel without the filtering that power steering introduces. The gearbox has short throws and precise synchronizers. Toyota built the M-Artwo with the same quality standards applied to their entire lineup. Body uses hot-dipped galvanized steel that resists corrosion. The interior materials outlast anything from European competitors at twice the price. The mechanical components share parts with the Corolla, which means affordable maintenance and widespread availability. The suspension uses MacPherson struts with a sophisticated design that controls camber change during compression. The rear geometry is particularly clever, using trailing links to maintain tire contact patches under hard cornering. This is textbook engineering executed with Toyota precision. Values for clean first-generation M-Artwo examples have climbed steadily, but once sold for $3,000 to $5,000 now, commands $10,000 to $15,000 for preserved examples. The supercharged Japanese models bring premiums approaching $25,000, but these prices remain accessible compared to other mid-engine machines from the era. The M-Artwo teaches driving skills that translate to faster, more expensive cars. The mid-engine balance requires smooth inputs and reveals the physics of weight transfer. Learning to manage liftoff oversteer in an M-Artwo creates a foundation for any serious driving ambition. This is a car that major manufacturers would struggle to profitably build today. The engineering and assembly standards Toyota applied to a sub-$20,000 sports car in 1985 exceed what most companies deliver in $50,000 vehicles now. The Mercedes-Benz 190 E2.3-16 from 1984 to 1988 represents a different approach to overlooked performance. Mercedes-Benz partnered with Cosworth Engineering to create a competition homologation special. The regulations required road car production to qualify for touring car racing. Mercedes used this opportunity to demonstrate what their engineering division could achieve without the constraints of volume production. The engine is based on the standard 2.3-liter four-cylinder. Cosworth redesigned the cylinder head with 4 valves per cylinder, dual overhead camshafts, and revised combustion chambers. The result was 167 horsepower in European specification and 170 pound-feet of torque. More impressive than the peak numbers is the engine character. The Cosworth head breathes freely to the 7,000 RPM red line. The power delivery is linear and predictable. There is no peaky behavior or narrow power band. The engine responds to throttle input with mechanical precision. Mercedes built the rest of the car to match. The suspension was lowered and stiffened. The rear end received a limited slip differential. The braking system used larger components from the 126 S-Class. The seats came from Recaro, with aggressive bolstering to hold occupants during spirited driving. The overall package created a sedan that could embarrass dedicated sports cars on a circuit, while remaining completely suitable for daily transportation. Ayrton Senna won the celebrity race at the 1984 Nürburgring opening in a 190 E2.3-16. This was not a publicity stunt. The car was genuinely fast. Production numbers were intentionally limited. Mercedes built approximately 55,000 units for the entire world. The later 2.5-16 Evolution models are even rarer, with the Evolution II limited to just 502 examples. Pricing reflects the beginning of recognition. Standard 2.3-16 models in good condition trade hands for $25,000 to $40,000. The Evolution models have reached six-figure territory. But compared to the Cosworth Sierra or the E30 M3, the Mercedes remains undervalued. But compared to the Cosworth Sierra or the E30 M3, the Mercedes remains undervalued relative to its historical significance and engineering content. The ownership experience rewards patience. Mercedes-Benz quality from this era means solid construction and durable components. The engine has known failure points around the timing chain guides, but prevention is straightforward. The body resists corrosion better than contemporary BMW offerings. This is a car for the enthusiast who appreciates understated performance. It does not shout or demand attention. It simply delivers an elevated driving experience wrapped in a practical four-door body. The Audi Quattro from 1980 to 1991 fundamentally changed what a performance car could be. Before the Quattro, four-wheel drive systems were reserved for trucks and off-road vehicles. Audi proved that permanent all-wheel drive could enhance road performance. Before the Quattro, four-wheel drive systems were reserved for trucks and off-road vehicles. Audi proved that permanent all-wheel drive could enhance road performance in ways that nobody had anticipated. The technical innovation centered on the torsion differential. This purely mechanical device used worm gears to distribute torque between the front and rear axles. This purely mechanical device used worm gears to distribute torque between the front and rear axles based on available traction. No computers, no electronic sensors, just physics and clever engineering that responded instantly to changing grip conditions. The engine was a 2.1-liter inline five-cylinder with a single turbocharger. Early versions made 197 horsepower. The later 20V version pushed past 220 horsepower. The five-cylinder configuration creates a distinctive exhaust note and a firing order that produces smooth power delivery. But raw numbers miss the point. The Quattro redefined traction. On wet roads, loose surfaces, or in any condition where grip was compromised. On wet roads, loose surfaces, or in any condition where grip was compromised. The Audi would simply hook up and go when rear-wheel drive competitors spun their tires helplessly. The competition's success validated everything. Audi dominated the World Rally Championship with the Quattro platform. They won races in conditions that made other manufacturers stay home. The technology proved itself against the best engineers in motorsport. The road car transferred this capability directly to owners. The weight distribution is not perfect, with more mass over the front axle than ideal, but the all-wheel drive system compensates by allowing earlier throttle application. And more aggressive corner exit speeds. Build quality reflects Audi's German precision. The galvanized body panels resist rust. The interior uses quality materials that age gracefully. Mechanical components are robust enough to handle significant power increases. The aftermarket has extensively documented upgrade paths. Larger turbochargers, improved intercoolers, and modern engine management can push the five-cylinder past 400 horsepower while retaining reliability. The transmission can handle these power levels. The torsion system actually works better with more torque available to distribute. Values have risen but remain accessible. A driving quality Quattro can be found for $30,000 to $50,000. The rare Sport Quattro homologation special commands prices exceeding $500,000, but the standard Quattro delivers 90% of the experience for a small fraction of that cost. This is the car that created the performance all-wheel drive segment that now includes everything from Subaru WRX to Nissan GT-R. The original remains a compelling choice for anyone who values capability over image. The Mazda RX-7 from 1986 to 1991, known as the FC generation, brought rotary engine technology to an accessible price point with genuine sports car dynamics. Mazda committed to the Wankel rotary engine when other manufacturers abandoned it. They refined the technology through multiple generations, solving reliability issues and extracting impressive power from compact displacement. The FCRX-7 used a 1.3-liter twin-rotor engine. Naturally aspirated versions made 146 horsepower. The turbocharged variant produced 182 horsepower, with later versions reaching 200 horsepower. These figures emerge from an engine smaller than most motorcycle units. The rotary engine has characteristics that defy conventional automotive expectations. There are no reciprocating masses. The rotor simply spins. This creates smoothness that no piston engine can match. The willingness to rev is exceptional. The turbo models pull cleanly to their redline without the vibration or harshness that high-revving four-cylinder engines produce. Weight distribution is the other half of the equation. The rotary engine is compact and mounts low in the chassis. The FCRX-7 achieves near-ideal front-to-rear balance. The handling responds immediately to steering input without the nose-heavy pushing that afflicts most front-engine sports cars. Mazda engineered the suspension with care that exceeded the vehicle's price point. The front uses struts with optimized geometry. The rear employs an independent multi-link setup that maintains proper alignment under hard driving. The steering feel is direct and informative. The turbocharged models deserve particular attention. Mazda used a relatively small turbocharger tuned for response rather than peak power. Boost arrives quickly and sustains throughout the usable rev range. The driving experience feels urgent without the frustrating lag that plagued contemporary turbocharged cars. Reliability concerns about rotary engines deserve honest discussion. The apex seals can wear and require engine rebuilding, but this maintenance is predictable and manageable. Specialists exist who rebuild rotary engines to better than factory specifications. The key is purchasing a car with documented history and proper maintenance. Parts availability is better than most enthusiasts expect. Mazda supported the rotary platform for decades. The RX-7 shared components with the RX-8 that remained in production until 2012. Critical wear items remain available through dealers and aftermarket suppliers. Values for clean FCRX-7 turbo examples have risen from bargain territory to the $15,000 to $25,000 range. This represents recognition of the platform's capability, but remains far below comparable Porsche or BMW pricing. The RX-7 offers an ownership experience unlike anything else. The engine character, the chassis balance, and the overall driving sensation cannot be replicated by any conventional powertrain. This is mechanical uniqueness with genuine performance credentials. If you have stayed with us this far, you clearly value substance over hype. Leave a comment sharing which of these cars you think the market will catch up to first. The discussion helps everyone learn. The Alfa Romeo GT V6 from 1981 to 1986 combined Italian passion with surprisingly solid engineering. Alfa Romeo had a reputation for beautiful but unreliable cars. The GT V6 challenged this perception with an engine that proved remarkably durable and a chassis that delivered driving pleasure beyond its price point. Part of the GT V6 is the Busso V6. This 2.5-liter engine uses a single overhead camshaft per bank with intake and exhaust valves actuated through rocker arms. The design creates a mechanical symphony. The intake note, the exhaust tone, and the mechanical sounds combine into one of the most evocative soundtracks ever fitted to a production car. Output was 154 horsepower, adequate but not exceptional. The engine's true virtue is its character. It loves to rev. The power builds smoothly through the range with a crescendo that rewards use of the full tachometer. This is an engine that makes you want to downshift just to hear it sing. The transaxle layout puts the gearbox at the rear axle, connected to the engine via a torque tube. This configuration improves weight distribution compared to a conventional front-engine, rear-drive arrangement. The handling benefits from more balanced mass distribution. The suspension uses a Dion rear end, a semi-independent design that keeps both rear wheels perpendicular to the road surface. This maintains optimal tire contact patches during cornering. The front suspension is a conventional double wishbone arrangement. Build quality from this era of Alfa Romeo was better than the brand's reputation suggests. The steel body does require attention to prevent rust, particularly in the front fender areas and around the windshield. But properly maintained examples survive with solid structures. The interior reflects Italian design priorities. The seats are comfortable for long drives. The driving position puts all controls within easy reach. The instrumentation is clear and attractive. The overall ambience prioritizes the experience over flashiness. Values have moved upward, but the GT V6 remains accessible. Good drivers trade hands for $15,000 to $25,000. Pristine, low-mileage examples approach $40,000. Compare this to contemporary BMW 635cc or Porsche 924S models, and the Alfa represents genuine value. The enthusiast community has developed solutions for every common issue. Timing belt services, fuel injection maintenance, and electrical gremlins all have documented procedures and readily available parts. The mechanical systems respond well to systematic maintenance. This is a car for the enthusiast who values driving sensation over speed sheet statistics. The GT V6 cannot match modern performance numbers, but it delivers an experience that makes modern cars feel sterile and disconnected. The final car that demands attention is the Peugeot 205 GTI from 1984 to 1994. This might seem like an unusual choice for a North American audience. The 205 GTI was never officially sold in the United States or Canada, but its engineering significance and growing collectible status make it worthy of consideration for the serious enthusiast willing to import. Peugeot designed the 205 GTI as a lightweight driver's car. The philosophy centered on minimizing mass rather than maximizing power. The 1.6-liter version made 105 horsepower. The 1.9-liter variant produced 130 horsepower. These numbers seem modest until you consider the vehicle weight of approximately 19 pounds. The power-to-weight ratio matches or exceeds contemporary Volkswagen GTI and Honda CRX SI models. But the Peugeot feels faster because of how it delivers that performance. The chassis is the secret. Peugeot engineers used suspension geometry and spring rates tuned for European roads. The front uses MacPherson struts with carefully selected offset for steering feel. The rear employs a torsion beam with a specific cross-section shape that provides a small degree of passive rear steer. The result is a car that rotates willingly into corners, holds a chosen line precisely, and responds to throttle inputs with immediate weight transfer. The steering is hydraulically assisted, but feels connected to the road surface in a way that modern electric systems cannot replicate. British and European automotive media have consistently ranked the 205 GTI among the greatest hot hatches ever built. It set the standard that later Golf GTI, Civic Type R and Focus RS would attempt to match. The mechanical simplicity ensures longevity. The pushrod engines are straightforward to maintain. The transmission is a conventional 5-speed manual with direct linkage. The brake and suspension components use common European specifications. Importing a 205 GTI to North America requires navigating regulations, but cars over 25 years old qualify for exemption from federal safety and emission standards. This opens the entire production run to legal importation. Values in Europe have risen dramatically. A decade ago, these cars sold for a few thousand euros. Today, pristine examples command 40,000 euros or more. The 1.9-liter version with the best color combinations can exceed 60,000 euros. This is a car that rewards driving skill over straight-line speed, the balance and feedback. Educate your hands and feet. Mastering a 205 GTI makes you faster in any car you drive afterward. Vehicles we have examined share a common thread. They represent engineering achievements that their original prices never reflected. Manufacturers invested development resources that modern cost accounting would never approve. The result is machinery with character, capability, and durability that transcends their market positioning. The current market has not fully recognized this value. Auction houses and mainstream collectors focus on badge prestige and visual drama. They chase Ferraris that spend more time in workshops than on roads. They pay premiums for cars that require 5-figure annual maintenance budgets. The smart money is moving toward these overlooked machines. Early adopters who purchased E30 M3 models 15 years ago have seen values multiply by 5 or 6 times. The same pattern will repeat with the cars we have discussed. Your advantage is mechanical knowledge. Understanding why a cross-bolted main bearing matters tells you more than any price guide. Recognizing the value of a torsion differential or a Cosworth cylinder head separates you from speculators who only understand paint condition. Stop scrolling through auction results hoping to find a bargain on cars that everyone else is chasing. Start looking for the specific technical markers that indicate genuine engineering investment. Check service records for evidence of proper maintenance. Examine engine internals for signs of quality construction. Test drive to feel chassis balance that no photograph can convey. One correct purchase from this group of forgotten cars can anchor your collection. One smart restoration project can become the vehicle that future enthusiasts wish they had recognized. The window remains open, but not for much longer. The knowledge is available to anyone who pays attention. The mechanical truths we have shared today do not change with market fashion. Your garage deserves machinery built to last. Your driving deserves cars engineered to perform. Your financial future deserves assets that will appreciate based on substance rather than speculation. The forgotten cars of the 1980s are waiting. The question is whether you will find them before the market catches up.